Hello. A senior Ukrainian official says Russian forces have almost captured Severodonetsk. It's a key battleground in the fight in the Donbass region. The industrial city has been the main focus of Russia's offensives over recent weeks, and fighting has been intense, with casualties on both sides. Ukrainian forces are holding on to just one factory in the city. Hundreds of civilians are trapped in bomb shelters underneath. The BBC's Joe Inwood reports now from Kyiv.
This is the battle for Severodonetsk, but from the Russian side. In the distance is the Azot chemical plant, said to be the last holdout of Ukrainian forces. A team from Chinese state television joined Chechen fighters as they tried to capture the destroyed city. We are very close to the industrial zone of the plant, the commander says, and we are confident that we will take control of it. But the Ukrainians say they are still fighting and have not given up on Severodonetsk yet. That's despite massive artillery barrages that have turned a once bustling city into a wasteland.
The
last day and night before were very hard. This night was relatively calm, but it is the calm before the storm. In fact, yesterday, the Russian army carried out offensive operations in several directions with lots of equipment and personnel.
One of those directions was Toshkivka, just to the south of Severodonetsk, but the other side of the river Severodonetsk. These are Russian forces rolling through what is left of the town. The battle in the east is looking increasingly difficult for the Ukrainians, who say they urgently need more Western military aid. But they need diplomatic support as well. And that came from a rather unlikely source here in the capital.
Hello, nice to meet you. Really nice to meet you. Welcome.
Hollywood actor Ben Stiller, also a UN Goodwill ambassador, in town to meet President Zelensky, was trying to keep this conflict in the public eye.
Our news cycle goes so quickly that it's really hard to keep attention on these issues that maybe don't affect us directly, but they do have an effect on us overall.
All the while, the destruction continues. This war is far from over, but there will be difficult days ahead.
So that's Joe Inwood reporting there, and a little earlier my colleague Samantha spoke to Joe about the very latest on that battle for Severodonetsk.
Well, you heard Sergei Hadai talking about the calm before the storm. The storm really has arrived, both here in Kyiv and in the east of the country. Severodonetsk is a crucial city, symbolically as much as strategically, because it's one of the last two big population centres in the Luhansk Oblast, the Luhansk region, which has really been the main focus of Russia's push into the east of this country. Now, what we're seeing is the process that's taken weeks and weeks to happen, the slow advance of Russian troops in trying to encircle, trying to push back the Ukrainians. That's really coming to a head now, and the Ukrainian forces have been pushed back into this small area, as I was talking about in my report there, the Azot chemical plant. We think they are there with a number of civilians as well, but it does seem like the Russians are closing the vice around the city of Severodonetsk.
And is there any possibility of any civilians who are still in the city able to get out?
That seems unlikely, I think. There has been some talk of a civilian corridor in the past, but it was unilateral. The Russians just declared it. They didn't agree it with Ukrainians. And they've been accused of doing that for cynical reasons, for propaganda reasons in short, and trying to use it to manipulate the battle space, is how the British Ministry of Defence described it. I think it's very unlikely. I think what we will see is potentially this siege grinding on for a while, this attack grinding on, the civilians trying to keep their heads down, trying to avoid the intense bombardment that we've seen. But I don't think it's likely that any are going to be trying to come out, simply because it's too dangerous. Although it is worth saying anything is possible, and it'd be a fool to make too strong a prediction on these things.